Hey guys, it's Ross going on the Space Couch. It's time for part 2 of my Harry Turtledove book collection. So previously we saw the first part of the World War series, the first 4 books in that about the actual Second World War. So it then jumps to the Colonization series, and the first book of this is Second Contact. And this moves the action to the 1960s, where the race has been established on Earth for a couple of decades, and large parts of the planet are under their control. I think there's a map which I'll show you. But obviously the historical figures of the day: Martin Luther King, Goebbels, Ayatollah Khomeini, space shock, because obviously technology is advancing. So, in the acclaimed World War tetralogy set against the explosive backdrop of World War II, Harry Turtledove wove a spellbinding saga of world powers locked in conflict against a deadly enemy from the stars. Now, with Colonization at Second Contact, Turtledove expands his magnificent epic into the volatile 1960s, when humanity must face its greatest challenge: alien colonization of planet Earth. During the World War, Washington DC, Tokyo and dozens of other cities perished in a radioactive holocaust of nuclear battle. 20 years later, a fitful peace reigned over the continents. Though Himmler controlled Germany and France, Molotov ruled Russia and President Earl Warren tenuously governed the United States, the invaders lorded over most of the world, coexisting in an uneasy balance with humans. As both alien and human races experience the rampant social turmoil of the 1960s, they are fatefully influenced by the tremendous upheavals and by each other. Then amidst this strife comes a new phase of the alien invasion, the arrival of the colonization fleet, an enemy that seeks to sweep humankind aside on a global scale. The fleet's terrible goal is to colonize and seize control of every man, woman and child on Earth. Yet as governments feverishly develop weaponry, a terrible truth emerges. This war will be fought not only on the ground, but in the vacuum of space. The United States must summon all its technological genius or face destruction. Even in the face of this explosive threat, the great powers are unable to relinquish their hostilities and unite against this awesome and terrible power. For America and for all the countries of the world, this is a war that must be won, a triumph that must be reached in the face of impossible odds. This time, the terrible price of defeat is extinction. Let's see if there is a map. Yes. Here is the world map. So all of this with the lines, that's the area controlled by the race. So large parts of Asia, all of Africa, South America. This is the Soviet Union. You see Sweden and Finland, Norway. This is the Reich, basically, the grey part here. You can see that Switzerland is independent. Spain and Portugal are with the race, and France is part of the Reich, and there is the UK independent, and there's Ireland. Canada, North America, etc. Free France, which I think was Tahiti. It's like Casablanca in the South Pacific. It's where they all go to do business, to have that little spot for them to all meet up and do their shady deals. So there's that one. Second is Down to Earth. And you see Kennedy in front of a PC. You see Nikita Khrushchev and a shuttle orbiting the planet. So let's see. Colonization takes us into the tumultuous 1960s as the reptilian race ponders its uneasy future on the planet called Tozev 3. The United States has prospered since the war and has sent a manned spaceship deep into space. On the other side of the globe, the German Reich remains bloodied but unbowed, brandishing a frightening new weapon and always poised for war. China strains under alien occupation, and from Poland to Jerusalem, Jews must choose between aiding the race or the Reich. Now the invaders have been joined by their colonization fleet, millions of newcomers who seek to incorporate our world into their far-flung empire. A violent black market erupts around ginger, the one substance that deprives alien colonists of their ability to reason, and a new war threatens, one even deadlier than the last. The clamouring, bellicose tribes of Earth form new alliances and play dangerous games of diplomacy, but the ultimate power broker will be the race itself. For the colonists have one option no human can ignore. With a vast ancient empire already in place, the race has the power to annihilate every living being on Tozev 3. In Colonization Down to Earth, that's just a little bit of who's in it. Khomeini, Himmler and the Unknown. So yes, that's the second book of the colonization sequence. And then the third one is Aftershocks, and you see Nazi soldiers and an F-16 or whatever that is, with some giant explosion in the background. As the 1960s began, one of the great powers explodes a nuclear One of the great powers explodes a nuclear strike against the race's colonization fleet. As she did a generation before, Germany goes to war over Poland, this time against the race. Retaliation is swift and deadly, leaving much of the Reich, the Third Reich, in ruins. The United States has used its fast-developing military technology to lock the invaders into a standoff. And in China, the ragtag revolutionary army of Mao Zedong, armed with Russian-supplied German-made weapons, may prove the race's most intractable enemy of all. On Earth, alien invaders find themselves confronting a far more complex and difficult species than any they have encountered before. From the hatred between the Jews and the Deutsch to the irrepressible inventiveness of human technology, the reptilian invaders begin to realise they have met creatures that cannot be tamed. Ultimately, only superior firepower may keep Earth under the Empire's control, or it may destroy the world. Despite its military superiority, the race still fears it underestimates its foes. While uprisings and aftershocks of war shake the planet, and the race's troops are undermined by ginger addiction, one nation plots a stunning counterattack. Yes. So, yeah, all the main powers are against the Reich. There's a nuclear war between the race and the Reich. The other powers don't get involved. So Germany gets mostly flattened. Not completely, because, like cockroaches, the Nazis always come back. They've come back more times than Dracula in this sequence. But yes, the 60s, basically, humanity is expanding. And that reaches its natural conclusion in the final book of the World War overall series, Homeward Bound. This is basically, it jumps it forward again. They've developed a starcraft that can actually travel to their home system, and the Americans send a ship there. It's slower than theirs, but they can actually get to Homeworld now. And other nations, the Nazis, the Soviets, the Japanese, are also developing their own starcraft. And the cover here is Sam Yeager, who's one of the characters from the whole sequence. He is basically the ambassador on home, and here is the US flag being raised on that homeworld. I started rereading this yesterday. I got about 150 pages into it. 189 pages into it. So I'll just read the blurb, although I'll give you a quick little précis there. Oh, that's where I was reading. Right. In World War and Colonization, an ancient, highly advanced alien species invaded Earth at the height of World War II to find that what should have been an easy victory is just the start of a bitter struggle with a distant, rebellious planet. For those defending the Earth, this all-out warfare survival supercharges human technology, making friends of foes and turns allies into bitter enemies. But the aliens known as the race, the conflict has yielded dire consequences. Mankind has developed nuclear technology years ahead of schedule, forcing the invaders to accept an uneasy truce with nations that possess the technology to defend themselves. But it's the Americans, with their primitive inventiveness, who discover a way to launch themselves through distant space and to reach the race's home planet itself. As the 20th century ends, a daring few men and women embark upon a journey no human has made before. Warriors, diplomats, traitors and exiles, the humans who arrive in the place called home must find themselves genuine strangers on a strange world, and at the centre of a flashpoint with terrifying potential. For their arrival on the alien homeworld may drive the enemy to make the ultimate decision, to annihilate an entire planet rather than allow the human contagion to spread. With its extraordinary cast of characters, human, non-human and some in between, Homeward Bound is a fascinating contemplation of cultures, armies and individuals in collision. This is a novel of vision, adventure and constant astounding surprise. And also constant repetition of certain things as well. I will do a review on this once I've finished reading, because it had been a long time since I'd read this and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But there are some issues with the writing in it. But yes, thoroughly enjoyed this sequence. All through the 90s I was following this. When did this one come out? This is the last one. 2005 that ended. So yes, Homeward Bound. So that concludes Harry Turtledove's World War and Colonization series. I don't know if he's ever picked it up again since. I haven't seen any further books on that. But that does, of course, mean that he then had time to get onto other series and stuff like that, which we'll begin looking at in the next video. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment suggestion for what topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.